The Passionate Leader, because leadership without passion is just the title.
Meeting. We got a collapse in the garage. Get the squad back equipment in here. We got an I-beam gone to a firefighter.
Get that out, urgent, transmit a second along.
This is where titles end and leadership begins. Ask yourself, what would you do if the career you thought would carry you through life suddenly disappeared? For Lieutenant Tom LeVey, being laid off from General Motors wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of a new calling. He walked into a small volunteer firehouse in Michigan, and from that moment on, he was hooked. 17 years later, Tom has built a career defined in grit, growth, and service. For nearly a decade, he's served with the Madison Heights Fire Department, recently earning his promotion to lieutenant. In that role, he's learning what it means to shift from being the doer to the actual officer leading the crew. Along the way, he's made mentoring probies a priority, pushing them forward the same way that his officers once pushed him. Tom's passion doesn't stop with teaching. He's a strong believer in aggressive interior attack and aggressive search, and he's committed to developing the next generation of officers who will carry the fire service forward. Off duty, he finds a balance in time with his wife and 2 daughters, life on 12 acres of land, and stepping away from the firehouse when we need a hard reset. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, Tom LeVey. Tom, how are you today?
Good. Thank you for that introduction. That was way more than I expected. I appreciate that.
I think what's really neat is your whole story. I mean, we definitely hooked up on socials and stuff like that. For the viewers and the listeners, I don't really know a lot about you. Why don't you kind of walk us through how you took the gut punch of getting laid off from General Motors to getting into the volunteer side?
So basically, it starts back. I graduated high school in '06, and my dad worked for General Motors. He was one of the last millwrights hired in there in like 1986. So just before I was born, he got hired in there, and they were doing a mass hiring because they were starting to increase their production. He got me in there. So, it was awesome working with my dad for like 4 years there. So it was great working with him there. And then I got laid off. I kind of debating going back to school. In college, I did a few college classes, but young then really didn't hit it that well. Didn't do well there. Wasn't for me. And then so I was laid off, bored at work, or bored at home, couldn't really do anything. So I was like, you know what, my mom at that time was like, you need to do something. So I was like, all right. I was driving around my little town, St. Clair. Great town. I don't know if you ever get to Michigan. Great town, right on the water. Right on the water, man. Right, look across the river and there's Canada. So it's kind of cool. But I remember just walking up. I was like, up to the St. Clair Firehouse, and one of my mentors was there, Mike Payne. And I was like, hey, are you guys hiring? He's like, I don't know. And I went and got an application. I filled it out, and then I kind of the rest went from there. They put me through Fire 1 and 2 and my EMT, and then I went through and did my medic, and then 10 years later, here I am at Madison Heights Fire. So I kind of was going down the law enforcement route there for a little bit. Michigan State Police was doing a huge recruitment thing back in like 2008, 2009. They put like 2 or 3 academies on. I was about to go, and then they put a big hiring freeze on. So because of the recessions and everything. So
Sure.
They put a big hiring freeze on. So that's kind of what pushed me into the fire side too. So, and then just kind of fell in love with the job and decided that's where I was going to make my career.
I love it. What no, do you still have any inkling to want to do law enforcement stuff, or has that been solidified by joining the fire?
That's been solidified. I mean, I don't think I could do the schedule. I like my 24s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, my cousin's a cop pretty much in the town next to my hometown. And we talk all the time, and they're PSO. So like, he just went through the fire academy, and he's like, I don't know how you did that. I'm like, well, I also wasn't 45 years old when I went through the academy though either.
No, that's awesome. Now, in your part of Michigan, is it one of those where they do the public safety department where like the cops are on fire departments and stuff like that, or are you in a different location?
No, there's a few count, cities in my county that do the PSO, and then
Yep.
it's real big for like the uh, just outside Detroit, like Grosse Points. All the Grosse Points are usually PSOs. And it's just a money thing, so they try to get the most what they can, you know. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I one of the coolest things. So I mean, obviously you're a recent lieutenant. What walk us through the process of what really, what made you want to be a lieutenant, how you finally got to where you are and you're new into it. What are some of the bumps you've learned along the way so far?
I've always known I wanted to be instructor of some sort, and in Michigan they require you to be a fire instructor prior to being getting promoted to being an officer. So they require it. So I went and did my fire instructor and kind of fell in love with it. And I'm like, I want to do stuff here.
Mm,
I want to be in the change. I want to be, I want to make the policies and be the line. I want to be a line officer so I can still get to have all the fun, but a little more responsibility. Try to re- do the recruitment retention part of the department. So try to get in there and make the changes that I want to see.
sure. No, that's awesome. I mean, and how long have you been a lieutenant?
It's been about almost a month and a half now. So
All right.
so, but I used to step up a lot too. So we always did acting
Fair.
positions. So
Yeah.
when the list was like if one of the lieutenants was off, they would put the guy, senior guy, or not the senior guy, but the highest guy on the list would be put up into an acting position for a little bit.
Gotcha. So I mean, how long were you kind of playing the acting role? I mean, not consecutively, but I mean like
Yeah.
time on the job. How long were you bouncing back and forth between acting and back on the line?
So probably about 2 years. So it was pretty much whenever there was a lieutenant or a captain off, they would bounce you up. So
Nice.
it was, yeah. So it was nice. It was a good experience, and I mean I have a great captain I'm working under now. He's really good at teaching. So he's
Yeah.
patient. So he didn't forget where he came from as a lieutenant.
That honestly I think is the especially in the fire service, so we're type A personalities, and I think that generally, that breeds and bodes well for people who are overachievers. And being an overachiever, sometimes you can kind of forget where you come from, and it's not hard to do that, because you're always looking for the next thing, and you forget how hard it was to. So I mean, but so perfect, dude. I love seeing new young officers. Um, any regrets so far, or anything that sort of you didn't really see, got blindsided by, or you didn't see coming, or anything like that?
Not yet. Knock on wood. I mean,
Yeah,
some, some of this stuff is just adjusting, like you said, going from the doer to being just kind of taken back instead of task oriented. You got to be more strategy oriented, and making sure you see the big picture on everything while your
yeah,
guys are focused in on doing the job. You're kind of focused in on reeling them in. Because I was lucky I work with a bunch of guys that are pretty aggressive with stuff. So it's like, sometimes you got to be the one to reel them in. Be like, hey, I get it. It's fun, but let's reel it in here.
yeah. Now let's get to that, because I when I read the word aggressive in the bio that you shot me, dude, I loved it, because I think it is a word that a lot of people are so damn afraid of using because they see aggressive and they think aggressive is unsafe. Have you first? I guess the first question is: have you seen, or has your mentality changed a little bit from when you were more of the doer to what aggressive looks like, and then now that you're the boss, you kind of see more of things you probably shouldn't do, or is that mentality been able to remain the same?
It's pretty much the same. We're more aggressive with our search and our
Yeah,
attack just because of our staffing. So I mean, we only have 8 guys on shift a day for a city of 30,000,
sure.
continuously up to like 50,000 during the day.
That's insane.
Yeah, so it's like we have minimum of 8 and maximum of 10. So our best bet's to knock the fire down. It's before it even gets too crazy.
Yeah.
We we really train our probies. We're really aggressive when it comes to our hose drills, and we're really aggressive on the search culture. one of our captains here, really big on the search culture. We're searching without handlines. He's a weird,
Yep.
but we're mostly that fire attack, search at the same time, that consecutive, just because of our staffing, that fire control and search at the same time. So,
Yeah.
but if we can knock that fire out, it just solves all the problems real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. With 30,000 residents, I mean, how many calls do you guys roughly do a year? Do you know?
So last year we did about, I think we were at like 5,300. So we are a full ALS department too. So we transport. We have So staffed on paper every day, we have 3 ambulances, 2 engines, and a ladder truck. So the ladder truck up here in the north end is a jump truck. So
Okay.
the guys on the ambulance will jump on that, and then if a third medical comes in, the guys on the south end engine will jump on the third ambulance and take the call. So we always have one engine in service at all times up here in the city. So
Nice. Nice.
yep.
I mean, that's a lot of apparatus and equipment to try to keep staff with 8 guys.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's a challenge.
it's nice, and we just went up to 8 right when COVID came. So that was
Yep.
kind of like they did the state of emergency, and we were able to hire 2 more per
Good.
shift.
Yeah.
So it was
Yep.
it was nice. So because originally we were at six guys
Yeah. Yeah.
on shift, so it was rough. So
I love it. Now, shift wise, you guys used to do 24s.
yeah, we're on that Kelly schedule. So we do the 24 with the day off, 24 with the day off, 24 on, and then they got the 4-day stretch off. Like I said, like I told you earlier when we were talking, I was like, hey, I picked up overtime today because I get to ride an engine. I'm gonna
Sure. Sure.
instead of an ambulance.
Dude, amen. There's nothing wrong with that, buddy.
Yeah. So it's very rare because up here where I'm at in the north end station, the lieutenants ride the ambulance. So
Gotcha.
unless the captain's off, and then I get to bump up. So it's kind of nice.
I love it. Yeah. So back to the aggressive culture. So, how have you guys, if you have, or have there been any, I don't want to say arguments, but any pushback from either members or even senior officers, to have that aggressive search culture and aggressive fire attack culture?
No, because to be honest, we have our whole officer corps is relatively young. So
Okay.
I think um, our senior captain is about to retire. So we're going to have um, the next captains and lieutenants pretty much for like the next 10, 15 years are all going to be the same. So we have
Mm,
pretty young group of officers that are pretty aggressive when it comes to things, and very heavy on the training. So Captain Shepard, our training coordinator, is awesome with setting the monthly trainings up. So
sure.
like this month is RIT, and he'll send all the officers like a checklist, be like, hey, I want you over the RIT bag. We're gonna do drags, we're gonna do buddy breathing, we're gonna do pack conversions, we're gonna do Mayday drills, and what the Oakland County standard is for RIT teams. And then it's pretty good. So we're a lot heavier on the training now. So it's
Mm.
more aggressive with the training.
No, I love it. I think, and we're in this, we do not have 8 guys to staff our engines, and we, thankfully our department's separate from the ambulance, so we don't have to worry about running, band-aids and
Yeah.
stuff. Um, we still have to run that same, combination culture where, we're bringing a hose line with us.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean we're dragging it with us the whole time, but we're at least bringing it to our proximity so we can get it, on the floor with us, and then we can, search off into the rooms to try to get everything. Because I think we're at a paradigm shift in the fire service where we need to remember where we were, and I think it's getting the idea that aggressive is good and not, unsafe. Because again, a lot of people hear the word aggressive and they just get that wicked, you know, um, that wrench in their gut that they're just like, oh my god, it's just not safe. And
And that
um,
safety culture that came back through
yes,
in like the early 2000s, 2010s, when they started doing the safety culture, trying to get
yeah,
back to the roots, like you said. The aggressive interior attacks, the aggressive searches, because we're real big into the VEIS. Like we're gonna go into that room. Any survivable space, we're gonna search. We're real big into that stuff.
Yeah. If you were to somebody new into the fire service, or somebody, even a fellow officer in a different firehouse, or a different fire department rather, kind of were to come to you and seek advice as far as how to maybe push the idea of the aggressive culture, how would you kind of start that process for them getting it in their firehouse?
And I would tell them, you just do look at the studies. I mean, it's just the aggressive. If you can put that fire out as fast as you can, that just improves the conditions not only for anybody that's trapped in there, improves the conditions for you, it mitigates the problem sooner. It's just if you can just, but you have to be proficient with that training though too. Is you have to be
Yeah.
able to get the cross lays off. You got to be able to be proficient with that. Your engineers got to be extremely proficient with being able to get water sources. You have to know your jobs. The way we run, we only have two on each apparatus. So that first arriving officer, if he's on an engine, might be doing the 360 and everything, and then that captain, if he's coming on the other engine, he's going to be getting water supply. So it's just
Yeah.
you got to be a jack of all trades, and you just have to train and just be proficient in your tasks. So and if you train if you train your guys aggressively, they'll become aggressive and they'll be confident in their skills. If you get them the confidence in their skills, they're unstoppable, man. Like yeah, they really are. It's at the point where my goal is to make like our department and my unit so strong that you won't be able to tell who the lieutenant is, who the captain is. The only way you're going to be able to tell that they're the boss is by the color of their hat. I want
Yeah.
like my unit, we empower our firefighters to lead trainings. You're like, hey, you know what? What do you want to train on this month? Okay, you want to train on something today? I was like, you want to train on VEIS? Cool, man. You're leading the training. You do it. And I get that from like that was instilled in us on my probationary with Captain Powers. He retired now, but like
Mm.
I was 2 months on. He's like, hey, you're leading the training. You're doing this, whatever you want to train on, and it just empowers you. It really does, and then it sets you up.
Yeah.
Be like, okay, because then your guys are going to do the research. They're going to do what they want. They're going to figure out the best way to do it. Like we have guys that go to Great Lakes hot classes all the time,
Mm.
and we have guys every year. We send 3 or 4 guys to FDIC to learn stuff.
Yep.
Um, they're really gung ho with like putting the firefighters doing the trainings. Like we have so many firefighters here that are actual fire instructors too at the colleges. So like we have a few guys that teach at Macomb. We have a few guys that teach at Oakland County. I teach at LCC, Lansing.
Mm.
It's just we're really into that. Train them with that train mentality. Just like the aggressive training leads to aggressive firefighting, which leads to aggressive search.
I love it. Now, when you were given, when the captain would kind of give you that, how long of a lead time would he give you as far as, days in advance before the training was to occur?
Probably like a cycle or two. So I probably have like a week and a half.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. It gives you enough time, but he would usually pick the topic, and I'll never forget. My first topic was communicable diseases, and I'm
Oh,
like,
no way.
yeah, it was nothing even fire related, and I'm just like, oh, so and that's one of those mandatory trainings every year. So he's like, you're gonna do it. Okay, but again, you get some research, and then you become proficient in that. So, excuse me.
That's a commendable process and approach to do, honestly, because you're not wrong. He put you in somewhere that you're like, oh, this isn't fire service. So that's good stuff. You said he retired recently.
Yeah, actually, he retired back in April
Okay.
of this year, and the funny thing is he actually Captain Powers actually taught my fire academy. So he taught my fire academy, he taught my EMT academy, and here we are. Fate had it. I come work for his department, get hired by him, work on his unit. So it's just, but he's seen my career go from
Mm.
cadet all the way to 10 years on pretty much. And he didn't get to see me get promoted, but he wouldn't have been promoted if he didn't retire.
And I mean, you have to wonder if Sometimes those little duffers see that and they realize it, and that
Hmm.
could have been that could have had something to play into it, honestly.
Yeah.
No, and everybody needs that mentor. So, um, to that, I mean, have you, you don't no name, you don't have to name names or anything, but I mean, have you found and identified people, of your subordinates, that you're like, these are the people that I think, are going to be the next wave of officers, and kind of taking them under your wing already?
Yeah, there's a few guys, and honestly, man, it's going to be hard for that next test coming up because they're all rock stars. I mean,
That's awesome.
they're just good. They're all, we have guys that are very technical and they're very knowledgeable with other things. And then we got a lot of guys went on their own time to get fire instructor classes out of the way. And
Okay.
then we got a couple guys that came from bigger cities that came here for more of the stability and the pay compared to
Yeah.
a lot of those other departments. And it's just going to be it's a real level playing field, and it's going to be good. So I'm excited. I always like to take them under there and show them, be like, hey, you know I don't know if you've ever read this book, the Unfucked Firefighter Book of Wisdom, but
No, dude. What is that one again?
it's called the Unfucked Firefighter, the Book of Wisdom. So
Okay. All
so
right.
basically, man, it's like all quotes on like what you if I ever find out who this guy is and get to meet him, I would be ecstatic. It's such a good book, but it basically like just a bunch of quotes about like the fire service, and like a few that stick out to me all the time is like teach what you should have been taught. Like if you weren't taught
Mm,
something, learn it and be like, hey, this works for me. I wasn't taught this, but you want to always make people succeed.
sure.
I want my guys to eventually become officers. I want them to be captains. I'd be happy if I got to work under some of them as a
Mm,
captain or a lieutenant.
sure,
Like
sure.
they are good. And you know, another quote in here is like, you can tell a lot by a person how they treat the new guy. Like if
Yes. Yep.
because like right now, man, we're in that sweet spot in fire service where we got a lot of 10-year guys that are mentors. It's always the senior guys, and some of the salty guys are getting out because we're in that next 5 years. We're going to hit that wave again where you're going to see a mass retirements coming through, and then it's going to be that mass influx of new firefighters coming in.
Mm,
Well, I'm excited to see it. So I mean, we have three probationary firefighters starting within the next month.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
excited. So we got one about to get off probation. So it's pretty nice, man. I'm excited. The training's fun. It's I won't lie, you can get probie fatigue sometime though, because probies every
Sure.
we've had multiple probies every year since my group got hired. So
Wow.
yeah, between retirements and people moving on and leaving the department for other departments. So, but
Sure. Now, do you guys have if you sign on to join, you have to stay with us for so much time, or is it one of those you
no,
kind of
no.
no? Yeah.
No, a lot of departments are doing that as if they'll like put you through paramedic or they'll put you through like a fire academy or anything. But with us, you have to be a paramedic before they even hire you. You got to be fire 1 and 2. You
Okay.
got to have it. You
Sure.
pretty much have to have everything before you'll get hired. Like it's not saying you can't apply as an EMT and you can interview as an EMT, but you got to be a
Yeah.
medic at the time of hire. So it's just because we're setting you up at that base. You're already at the same base level as all the firefighters here. Now we just got to
Yeah.
train you our way. So and it's like we don't really have a retention problem here. We got guys that like
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
stay here and stay here, just due to retirements and some guys moving on to bigger, better things. Like my buddy
It
Robbie,
happens.
yeah, my buddy Robbie started a company, so and like his company started flourishing and taking off, and I'm like, you know what, man? He's like, I can't do both. And he's like, the company's taking up a lot more time than I thought. And I was like, hey, man, I respect that. It's like, I
Yeah.
get that. So
Yeah. That's good shit. God, I forgot. So now with education and stuff? If I was in Michigan and I was brand new, 18-year-old kid out of high school, and I wanted to get in the fire service, is it all on my dime to go get the education I need and then get hired, or is this something that departments can put people through?
that all depends. Like, so the city of St. Clair, they put me through. Um, you
Gotcha.
know, there's now where I teach at LCC, there are some sponsored classes, but a lot of those cadets are putting themselves through. So you
Yep.
can do both. And the nice thing is, man, it's like especially out here in Oakland County, man. We have so many full-time departments in the area and not enough recruits pretty much that you can pretty much go to. I think West Bloomfield right now is they'll if you're a paramedic, they'll put you through the fire academy, they'll do everything, and then you come work for them. Some departments they'll
Wow.
be like, hey, you work for us, we'll hire you, we'll train you up to a firefighter, we'll pay for your paramedic, and then you got to give us at least 3 years after that, or you have to have 3 years to get your paramedic. If you don't, then sorry about your luck
Yeah.
at that point.
Right. Right.
It's out there, man. And recruit class at the college I'm teaching at is like 23, 24. So I mean, it's pretty legit. We got a lot going through it. So I'm hopeful for the fire service, man. Hopefully we won't be struggling with staffing too long.
No, that's in it. A lot of it all breeds down to your culture too. And if your culture is really strong, that's going to keep people in the door, and it's going to keep people wanting to. So I mean, having the you know class after class and after class it is a problem for sure, because like you said, there's probie fatigue, but it's a good problem to have. It means people want to get in, they want to be part of your organization, they want to be there to help. And it also means that there's a wave of people that are getting into the fire service. So that's awesome. How long does the probie school usually last for?
So our probies have once they come up, they're fully trained. So they have once they get hired, they have a year probation. So pretty much at that time, it's like, hey, it's you know wheels to the ground. Your first, I would say, 3 or 4 months, you are training hard. Like the
Mm,
last probie we had, we were doing 2 a days for like 2 months, and like
wow,
not
okay, yep.
not like light trainings either, man. Like we were throwing ladders every day, we were pulling hose every day, and it's like you say the probie fatigue and everything, but at the same time, it's good for the senior guys too because they're getting those sets of reps in
Yeah.
too. Especially when one of our guys was just getting off probation. We don't have FEO spots here, so it's like we do a
Mhm.
rotate. All the pipemen do a rotation. So like once you get off probation, you're an engineer. So you're going to be on that engine once a day, once a cycle. So
Mm.
it's good getting them in there and tagging hydrants and having seeing the officers out there tagging hydrants and pulling line too. So it's good to see all that.
All right, passionate leaders, it is time for our par check. In part one of our conversation with Tom LeVey, we discussed everything from aggressive fire service culture, how he got into the fire service, what keeps him going in the fire service. And in part two, we're going to discuss the training aspects in the world, how important it is for continuing education in the fire service, and how his state of Michigan actually does have a continuing ed requirement for volunteer and career firefighters. That'll be found in episode number 31 of The Passionate Leader. If anything in today's episode with Tom and myself stuck, please make sure that you're sharing it across all platforms, because that's how we can tell that we're making a difference in the fire service. Act on what you learned and don't let it go to waste. If you want to be part of a deeper movement, every Sunday night on TikTok, we go live at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the Passionate Leader platform. I'll sign off as we do. Lead with passion, serve with humility, and leave no room for bottom feeders. Until we meet again, guys, stay safe.